Hello, I'm just going to wait for a few more people to start joining. Hello, everyone. I'm Meg. Just going to wait for a few more people to start joining before we talk about what's going to happen today. If you want to put where you're watching from in the comments, I'll do some shout outs to everyone watching today. Hello, everyone. Just wait for a few more people to join before I start talking about what's going to happen today. If you want to put where you're watching from, that would be nice so I know who we've got with us today. Hello to Anya from Coventry. Hello, it's good to have you with us. Hello to Galway Primary School. And morning to Jamie. So, I'll do some more hellos when they come in. Today, we have got a sensory storytelling. Oh, hello to class 1 at Galway Primary School. Oh, have we got 2 classes? Hello to Galway Primary School. So, we have got a sensory storytelling based on A Midsummer Night's Dream by Shakespeare for Shakespeare Week. So, we're all going to need a scrap of paper to help us with some of the actions that we're going to do and to make some noises. But before we get into the story, I'm going to teach everyone some signs in sign along to help with our story, and then we're going to warm our bodies up so that we are all ready to do some actions that will help us along the way. Oh, hello, class 3 at Galway Primary School and class 1. So, should we get started with learning some signs? So, the first sign is king. And to sign king, we're going to get our hand and we're going to stroke our chin and then put a crown on top of our head. So, king. And then the next sign is queen. That's quite similar, but first we're going to stroke our face like this and then put a crown on top again. So, queen. And now our story is mostly based in a forest. So for forest, we're going to get one arm like this and put our other arm up and shake our hand and move it along. So forest. And then there's some fairies in our story today. And the sign for fairy is fairy. Is everyone practicing these signs in class? Fairy. And then the story has magic in. So we're going to get our hands like this, making nice big O's like binoculars, point them away from you, and magic. Magic. We've got 2 more to learn. The first one is flower. So we're going to bunch our hand up, put it in front of our nose, and move it like we're smelling a flower. Flower. And then the final sign is love. So we're going to get our hands, put them across our chest like this. Love. Should we have a little recap of those? See if you can remember them. King. Who can remember king? I'm going to stroke our chin and then put a crown on. And then queen. Is anyone remembering queen? We're going to stroke down our chin and then put a crown on top again. And then forest, forest. Fairy, get a hand up and move it in and out. Fairy. Now my favourite sign, magic. Who can remember magic? Magic. Magic. And then we've got flower. Can you remember flower? Flower. And then the final sign that we learnt was love. Love. So we've now learnt our signs, and we'll see if you can remember them when we get to our story. But we're going to need to start to warm up our faces and our bodies so that we can do some actions. So we're going to start with our face. I'm going to give it a bit of a rub, see if we can warm it up, warm the cheeks up, and your nose, and up your forehead. Oh, are they feeling nice and warm now? We're going to practice putting some faces for different emotions. So our first one is happy. You can do a big smile to be happy. Maybe your shoulders are going to rise up a bit. You're going to be happy. And then the next one is sad. You put a big sad face. Like you're feeling sad. Oh, our next emotion is shocked. You're opening your mouths really wide like you're shocked. Oh, and then our last face that we're going to pull for now is going to be angry. Who's scrunching up their faces really tightly, pretending to be very angry. Now we're going to start to warm up our bodies. So if you give our arms a rub, start to warm them up. Your shoulders. Can you rub your legs? Warm them up a bit. And now we're going to roll our shoulders. Get nice and warmed up. Can everyone stand up as well, maybe? And we can walk on the spot. And then our legs feeling a bit warmer now. We can run. Really fast, get those legs going. Nice and warmed up. Fantastic, everyone. So, can everyone have a teacher or a helper or some family help them find a piece of scrap paper for us to use for our story? And whilst our teachers and our friends and our helpers and our family are doing that, should we try and see if we can remember the signs now our bodies are all warmed up? So we've got king, king. And now we've got queen. That's a sign for queen. And we've got forest, forest. And fairy, fairy. And my favourite sign, magic, magic. And flower, like you're smelling a flower. And we've got love. We all started to get our pieces of scrap paper. Doesn't matter if we haven't got one just yet, they're not needed straight away. But it'll help us make some noises in our story today. So I think we might be ready to start our story. It's based on A Midsummer Night's Dream by Shakespeare, because this week is Shakespeare Week. And it's got lots of different characters and lots of different scenes in it. So we've got the king and the queen of Athens. Here they are. And they're getting ready for their wedding day. Lots and lots and lots and lots of people are going to go to their wedding. And this includes 4 very special people in our story. We've got 2 women, Helena and Hermia. There we go, can we see them? And we've got 2 men as well. We have Demetrius and Lysander. Now, Hermia is in love with Lysander, but the king is very, very important, and he wanted her to marry Demetrius instead. But Helena loves Demetrius. Oh no. The king wanted them to marry the people that they didn't love. Now that was a bit of a problem. So Helena, Hermia, Demetrius and Lysander all ran off to the forest. Can we practice our running now? We're going to run off to the forest with them. Everyone going to stand up. We're going to run off to the forest. And in our forest is lots of crunchy leaves. Can you get your piece of paper? You can hear all the leaves crunching underneath their feet. You're doing some good leaf crunching. And now we're going to do a scene change. Every time our scene changes, we're going to spin around because we're going somewhere else. So are we ready? We're going to spin around. Ready for our next scene. Now we're in the woods with our crunchy leaves. Now, in the woods live some fairies. Can everyone remember? Fairies. Now, the fairies also have a fairy king and a fairy queen. Here they are. Here's our fairy queen and here's our fairy king. Now, these fairies are very, very mischievous. They like to argue and play little tricks on each other. The fairy king gets his special fairy helper called Puck. Here's Puck. And he asks Puck to go and find the magical flower. Now this is a very, very, very magical flower. So magical that it makes people fall in love with the first thing that they see. So magical that it's going to make people fall in love. And here's our magical flower. This is the flower that's going to make them fall in love and that Puck's going to have to go and find. But we've heard enough about our fairies now. We're going to change scene again. So we're ready to spin to change our scene. Round we go. That's it. Wheels spun around. And we're back to Helena and Hermia and Demetrius and Lysander. And they're all still walking in the forest. Should we do some walking in our forest? Everyone stand up and do some walking. And they're in the forest you're walking in. So we're hearing those crunchy leaves again. Oh, they're starting to all feel really, really, really tired. Oh. Everyone do a big yawn. We're all feeling tired. Ready? They're all so tired that they start to fall asleep in our forest. We're going to start to fall asleep in our forest like Helena, Hermia, Demetrius and Lysander. You ready? Are you all falling asleep as well? Who's snoring? Some people snoring really loudly. Who's snoring the loudest? Wow. And now, someone's coming. I can hear them coming over the crunchy leaves in our forest. Someone's coming, and that someone is Puck, the fairy helper for the Fairy King. He sees everyone sleeping. Can he hear you all sleeping as well? Should we do some snoring so that Puck can hear them all sleeping? He decides to keep on going, and he finds his magic flower and he brings it back. He thinks it's going to be very, very, very funny to play a trick on them, and he picks some of the magical flower petals to give to them, and he gives it to Lysander. Oh, everyone starts to wake up after Puck has given the flowers. And a big stretch to wake up, everyone. Now, Lysander has just been given the magic flower potion. Can we remember what happens when you get given the magic flower potion? You fall in love with the first thing you see. Now, the first thing that Lysander sees is Helena. Uh-oh. Lysander and Demetrius are now both in love. Remember, in love with Helena. Oh no, poor Hermia is now starting to feel very, very sad and very, very angry. Oh, we're going to pull our angry faces and our sad faces. Who can scrunch their face up the angriest? And who can pull the saddest face? Oh, maybe some people are going to start to pretend to cry as well. Poor Hermia is now very sad and very angry because Lysander and Demetrius are both in love with Helena and not her. Oh, now we're going to quickly change our scene again. We're going to spin around to change our scene. And we're ready to carry on our story. Now, Puck, the fairy, he keeps on walking in our forest. Can you all walk over your crunchy leaves again? He keeps on walking and walking and walking back to the Fairy King to help him with the magical flower. Remember, magical flower. He keeps walking and walking and walking and walking until he sees a group of actors. Here we go. Here's some of our actors. They're all rehearsing a play for the wedding for the King and Queen of Athens' wedding. And Puck decides it will be really, really funny to play a little trick on them as well. This is going to be so funny, so we're all going to practice laughing. Ready? Ha 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 ha. Who's laughing the loudest? Is that some really loud laughing we're doing? Now, one of these actors is called Bottom. That's a bit of a funny name. Here's Bottom. And he was practicing with all of his actors' friends. Puck is a very, very naughty fairy. and he decides to turn Bottom into a donkey. Here's our donkey. Can we all make a donkey noise? Ready? Ee-aw, ee-aw. Who sounds like the best donkey? So, not only has he turned Bottom into a donkey, but he's now seen the Queen of the Fairies is sleeping not very far away from the actors. So Puck walks over those crunchy leaves in the forest to go over to the Queen, and he gives her some of our magical flour. Now that means that the Queen is going to fall in love with the first person that she sees when she wakes up. Can we remember who's practicing close by to the Queen? Is it the actors, including Mr. Bottom, who's now a donkey? Oh no, the Queen is starting to wake up. Oh, big stretches to wake up, everyone. Big, big stretches. The Queen has woken up, and the first person that she sees is Bottom the donkey. Ee-aw, ee-aw. But he's had some of the magical flower potion, and the Queen of the Fairies has fallen in love with a donkey. Oh no. Now, we're going to change our scene so we can go back over to the king. Are we all ready? Let's go. Let's change our scene. There we go. Now, we're back with our fairy king. Our fairy king is magical because all fairies are magical. And he's seen and he's heard everything that's been going on in the forest. He's very, very, very angry with Puck. We're all going to put our angry faces like the king of the fairies. Who's putting the angriest face? He's very, very, very angry with Puck for playing such naughty, naughty tricks on everyone in the forest. He tells Puck off and he makes sure that everything gets reversed. He takes some of the flower juice back, and Helena and Hermia, Demetrius and Lysander fall back in love with the right people. So everyone there is happy again. He then finds the Queen of the Fairies and he takes back some more of the special flower juice, the magical flower juice. He takes it back, and the Queen of Fairies is no longer in love with a donkey. She's back in love with the fairy king. The flower juice has gone. And he looks and he sees our donkey, and he goes over to Donkey Bottom and he says, "You're not going to be a donkey anymore. I'm going to use my fairy magic and turn you back into a human." Here he is. Here's Bottom back as a human. It's all fixed now. So everyone is happy. We're all going to pull our happy faces. Big happy faces, because we're all back to being humans. And we're all back being in love with the people that we're supposed to be in love with. The fairy king and the fairy queen are back in love with each other. And Hermia and Helena and Demetrius and Lysander are back in love with the correct people. And everyone is happy again. And everyone starts to walk through the forest with the crunchy leaves. They're walking and they're walking, and they're walking, and they're walking a bit more until they get back to the scene of the wedding of the king and queen of Athens. And everyone's happy because everyone's in love with the correct people, and the actors, including Bottom, get to perform their play at the wedding. And that's the end of our story. Our story that was in a forest with lots of magical flowers and lots of fairies playing tricks, and everyone falling out of love and falling back in love with the correct people again. And we even had a person that got turned into a donkey. Oh my goodness. So, shall we see if after that story we can remember the signs that were helping us? So first we've got the sign for king. So we're going to do king. That's it, king. And then we've got the sign for queen. Now queen is signed like this. That's it, queen. And then we've got fairy. Fairy. A fairy. And then we've got the sign for magic. It's my favourite sign. Can we remember it? We're going to have our hands up like they're binoculars, point them away from us, and go, magic, magic. And then we've got flower. Our magic flower's lost most of its petals now, but can we remember flower? It's a bit like we're smelling a flower. Flower. And then, is it the most important sign? Love. There was lots of love in our story. And that is the end of our story. Did everyone make lots and lots of different emotions with our faces? And we did lots of actions with our bodies. And we've learnt some sign language that helped us with our story today. And now we all know the story of A Midsummer Night's Dream. So we can all go home later tonight and tell our friends and our family and our carers exactly what happens in A Midsummer Night's Dream. And maybe tomorrow and Friday you can come back to the Courtyard's Facebook page and take part in some of the more live Facebook events that they've got going on for Shakespeare Week this week. Because it's a very important week to celebrate the most famous playwright ever to have lived in England. So thank you everyone for coming this morning to listen to A Midsummer Night's Dream. It was great to have you all here today, but it's time now for me to say goodbye because we've had our story. So bye bye everyone.